4 or 5, not sure. We're gonna just call it 4.5 then. Welcome back to week 4.5. Some really familiar faces from past years, so nice to see those. We were supposed to have a little thing, but he's not here, I don't think. Ray, is Ray here? Anyone see Ray?
I don't see him.
Okay, Ray's not here, so we don't have anything to do. So I'm gonna pass the stage for what we're all here for. IQ. Yeah, I'm not gonna take any more time. Tom, if you want to take it away, I will stop sharing my screen if you got slides and stuff. But yeah, everyone have a great meeting and enjoy.
Great. Let me just pop up my screen. And let me get the chat in case you throw anything in there. All right, there we go. I'm assuming everyone can see everything. You can hear me. Good to see you all. Some familiar faces out there. For those who have taken a class from me in the last year, I'm still in my garage. My family has not let me in the house yet, but hopefully one of these days they will. Yeah, this is where I've been essentially since March, and hopefully one day I'll get out. But I came to talk about IQ. Unfortunately, last year we sheltered at home about like 3 days before the applications were due, and ended up scrapping the competition. That will not happen this year. We're running it, so I wanted to come in, drop in, talk to you about it, encourage you to apply, and also try to just answer some questions. I get a lot of similar questions each year, but also each year there's like some unique ones to address. So I wanted to just make myself available to help you out, because I think it's a great competition. I have a lot of fun every year with it, and I think the students get a lot out of it. Just anecdotally, I had lunch, like a virtual lunch, with the person who won 2 years ago last week, and so just give you a little bit of background on her. She was a biomedical engineering student, and the thing that she won with was a device. She was trying to make something that was sort of like it would look like a pregnancy test, but it was for detecting blood viscosity after delivering a baby. And what she was trying to do was get like instantaneous feedback on whether someone might hemorrhage after childbirth. So it was like a big problem. She never started a company. She looked at it. She won a couple grants, kind of was exploring it. She ended up using the grant money that I helped her get to travel to Rwanda to learn more about the problem, and then was actually looking at going to a global health program last year in Rwanda to study more and take that project as her master's degree. And then COVID hit, and she was a little bit worried about her parents' health, and so ended up staying here. And so I was catching up with her, and she said, I've over this time, when I was trying to kind of wander and figure out my way on this thing, I've ended up negotiating a job with a nonprofit up in the Bay Area, and they're going to have me lead their global health team. And this is one of the projects that they're going to assign people to help me out with. And I was like, well, that's great news. Something might still come out of this. And her biggest feedback was, she said, what I really took away from all of, IQ and then the follow on afterwards was, I would have never known how to sit down and negotiate the agreement that I struck with these people if not for going through this process. So, she didn't end up starting a company. She looked at it for a while and put some work into it. But her perspective was that experience is what landed her where she's at today, in a role working on something that she wants to do. And she wouldn't have known how to get there without going through it. So, it's just sort of one of those stories that I like, because her path was definitely not linear, not at all. And but it just sort of leaning into the process, competing, meeting people and following where it might, has led her to a place where she's getting to pursue what she, originally competed in the competition on 2 years ago, in an avenue in a place that she never would have expected. So, just I would say go for it if you have any inclination. So what IQ is and also, you can throw stuff in the chat, or just unmute yourself and yell, and I'll stop for a minute and answer any questions along the way. I think I have like 7 slides, so it's not a lot. Um, One of the things that I tell people every year, we have like an amazing track record with IQ. Um, we're roughly 15 years into the competition. We've given away a few $100,000 to students from Cal Poly, and almost half the companies that have won any kind of money from IQ are still operating, which is like way better than Sandhill Road odds. We're doing pretty well. So I think it's a testament to the students that compete, and I think it's also, to be honest, a testament to the alumni that give their time and kind of help the students afterwards. So if you're interested in getting connected, think at all that you might want to start something. Just go ahead and try it. It kind of fits. We have a whole range of programming at the CIE. Does a whole bunch of different things, and I'll give these slides to Kaylin and Armand and Sophie, and you all can have them. They're not copyrighted or anything. But IQ is kind of in the range of what we say is great for preparing people if they think they might want to launch a business, or getting them to the point where they might actually be ready. And also, one of the things I tell students every year, if you're at all interested in the summer accelerator program, which is sort of our 13-week program in the summer, I think IQ is the best program we have to prepare you for that. It just sort of pushes you in that direction. So it's not, every year we accept people in the accelerator that don't do IQ. And also we have people that go through IQ that don't do the other, but I think if you're interested, it's the best way to prepare. The logistics, the applications are due March 7th at 11:59 p.m. And it's an online submission portal. It shuts off at 11:59 p.m. Every year I get people who email me at 12:02 a.m. and every year I emailed them back and say, we're going to run it next year, so good luck. So make sure that you get your application in. You can go there today and start your application. You can save it, come back to it later. There's no need to do it all in one sitting. So if you're considering applying, I encourage you to just start it, save it, go back, edit it, but at the same time, make sure you hit submit at the end. So you don't want to have like 3/4 of an application in and then forget to hit the submit button. So we usually, so that's a online application. There's 6 questions, 7 depending on how you count. They're relatively short. And typically, I really don't know what to expect this year, but typically we get somewhere between 45 to 70 applications. That's kind of normal numbers. I don't know if it's going to be high, low, normal this year. It's really hard to tell, but that's sort of in typical years, that's what we get. And then from that, we select 12 finalists. And we'll do that. It usually takes us about 10 days to review all the applications, get the scoring in. And the scoring in the first round of applications, we normally have kind of on the order of anywhere from 40 to 60 judges. They each review about 5 applications. I go in and throw out some scores. There's every year, it seems like there's one judge who hates everything and one judge who loves everything. And I end up kind of getting rid of those and kind of making it fair, because it's making sure that nobody gets penalized for just having drawn the short stick with the judge that hates everything. So that's kind of how it works on the front end. And then the 12 finalists, so this year, they will get announced on March 19th, and you'll have until April 24th to kind of get ready. It actually, I lie, it's going to be a week earlier than that. The finals are going to be on the 24th, but what we're doing this year, because we can't do it in person, the teams will submit 1 week in advance their pitch. The final judges by video. The judges are going to have the week to review it. And then the following week, the Saturday, April 24th, you'll have a roughly 10 to 15-minute time slot with the judging panel where they're going to do Q&A with you on your presentation. So they will have already seen your presentation. They will log in. You'll have a time slot to meet with them, and there'll be roughly 15 judges who will be asking you questions on your presentation. So that's kind of the format. We, meaning the CIE staff, do not judge the finals. We do participate in the preliminary judging. We're amongst many judges, but in the finals, it's completely turned over to external judges. Most of them are alumni. Some of them are just community member entrepreneurs, but they've all been sort of successful executives, and that's who, or investors, and that's who judges the finals. So that's who asks the questions. Any questions from you all yet on the process? Okay. These are the questions. So, the first one, what's the innovation? And it's called Innovation Quest. So they want you to talk about what are you doing that's innovative? And they're kind of just looking at what is it that you're doing that's different or unique and is going to give you an advantage in the market. What's the commercial potential? It's kind of like, how big is the opportunity? Is it a hot market? They want you to talk about, is the market growing? Is it not growing? And what's in general happening in the space that you're working in? They're looking at your team. So, if you're by yourself, I encourage you try to find other people to work with. They want to, and really what they're looking at in the team is this a team that can get it done? And one thing I tell students every year, that might be based on your major, that may have nothing to do with your major, right? So when you're answering this question, you want to speak to what you and your team bring to it, not necessarily what you're studying. If those happen to be aligned, that's great, but from having looked at a number of these, they are not always aligned. Your go-to-market plan is kind of, what are the initial steps that you would take to get this thing off the ground? And then they do give credit if it's something that, actually has benefit to the world. So that's where, there's a little bit of points for that. And so that's the 6 questions. In the submission portal, so on the online application, I have gone in and to the right of each of these questions, when you pull up the submission portal, you'll see there's additional text to the right of the question, which was written by me, which is basically me saying, hey, I've sat and watched these judges evaluate things for a number of years. This is what they're really looking for, right? So if you're reading this question and saying, well, I'm not really sure how to answer that, look to that text on the right, because I've seen the way that they get evaluated over a number of years, and I tried to, as best as possible, summarize, if I were to be writing an IQ application, how would I want that question worded? So that's what it is. Things are going to be a little bit different. This is a normal year. We meet in the classroom, and this is like a number of judges staring you down. In this world, it's going to be 15 or so tiles of these folks, logging in on 1 inch by 1 inch squares, looking you in the face and asking you questions. So that's what the finals will look like. One of the things that you're gonna need to think about and is helpful. You can see these pictures here. Normally the people are showing the judges what they're working on. And so that's going to take some thought in this world of Zoom on how am I going to communicate that through video? Because you can't just bring it in. Quite honestly, the people that are working on software type products will have an easier time because they can just switch screens or embeds wireframes and clickable things into their presentation. But if you have a physical thing, you're going to have to think what's the best way to demonstrate that. But it does help. I know, you can imagine once you see something or kind of see how it works, it's just easier to understand. And so you definitely get benefit for that. To participate, you have to have Cal Poly students as core team members. And core team members, to me, my definition is if that person went away, the team would be in trouble. So, if you've got 3 friends at UCLA who are working on something, and they're letting you call in for meetings, that's not a core team member. You have to be a person who's contributing, but you don't have to be a team of all Cal Poly people. We want you to, if you know other people that you need to get your stuff done, that's fine. You can't have previously won Innovation Quest, any of the prizes, at least for whatever you're applying for. So if you're a student out there and you won $5,000 last year, and now you're working on something completely different, that's fine. But if you're working on the same thing, you can't just keep reapplying. And this one almost never kicks in, but it's there because it has periodically happened. If you've raised already or won money that equals $100,000 or more, go on and do something else. Go find money somewhere else. We want the money to make an impact, and at some point, you're at a stage where it doesn't make an impact anymore. Like I said, this is an exception to the rule, but we did have people in the past where it was like they came back after they've raised an angel round and took $10,000 from us, and it was like that doesn't really help them. So if you happen to be in that boat, first off, congratulations, but second off, this is not the competition for you. As I said, I would encourage you, if you're thinking about Innovation Quest, think about the Summer Accelerator. It's a great way to spend 13 weeks full-time thinking and working through your business idea. And I think my goal for students who do that is at the end of the summer, they should have a really good idea whether they should move this business along or maybe go on and do something else in life. So that's all that I prepared, and then I can do Q&A, answer any questions you might have. If you have suggestions for ways to do outreach given this strange operating mode we have this year, I'm all ears. If you have suggestions for things that we can do to improve the competition, I'm all ears. One thing I did not say, so prizes, there's a first prize, a second prize, and a third prize. It's $15,000, $10,000, and $5,000. So it's real money. And we also, as of yesterday, just finalized a gift with an alumni or with an alum who wants to sponsor another $5,000 prize specifically for innovations that have environmental impact, positive environmental impact. So not negative.
Tom, I think a good question is if people want to get more info or need someone to talk to, are you the best person to reach out to?
Yeah, you can. So a couple things. If you just Google Cal Poly Innovation Quest, the website comes up, and I put together an FAQ on that site, which has a lot of good information. I would look through that first. But yeah, other than that, and I'm gonna just throw my email. You can just send me a note and I'll get back to you. I've gotten a few notes from people over the last couple of weeks, so I'm trying to get to them as quickly as I can. Okay, so we have a question, and is it Matt or Matthew?
Either is fine. You can call me Matthew.
Okay, Matt. So it says, for startups doing software, how much do the judges care about the technical talent on the team? Because at the moment, I only have one technical person on board. Well, so the team matters, and I would say you have one more person than some of the applications that I've seen who are working on software. So you're making progress, Matt. I mean, I think they're looking at what you have with what you've got. I've started here in 2014. I have never seen a perfect team. I've never seen a perfect application. Each group that comes in has their strengths and weaknesses, and so it's just part of what they're looking at.
Okay, and then I was wondering, do I need a final product when I'm demonstrating, or is it okay if I have like a dummy product of beta?
Yeah, no, great question. Almost nobody ever has a final product. You know, most people are much earlier than that. What
Okay.
you want to be doing though is demonstrating that you're making progress towards it, right? So what I would say is the people that tend to not do well is just, I have an idea, right? And I haven't started working on it, but I think it's a good idea. And so they want to see that you're actually putting effort into it. And so, you know, one of the things, let me go back in the slides. Okay. There is a question. I'm not sure why I don't have it in this slide. There's a question that says like, what do we get to see? And what they're really asking you is, if you make it to the finals on the end of April and you upload your video, how far along are you going to be? And so, you know, we're asking you to submit your applications at the beginning of March. One of the things that you should be doing is thinking, how much progress are we going to be making over the next 6 to 8 weeks? Because at that point, that's when the final judges are going to see wherever you're at. And so, you know, I've seen people just have, you know, front end clickable prototypes that they're showing to kind of demonstrate how it works. I've seen people that have crude prototypes that are functioning. The scariest one that we ever had was someone who turned a drone on, a fixed wing drone at full speed, and it almost let go and went straight into the judges. They literally jumped under the table. So we've had all sorts of things, but people are usually trying to show something that you know brings to life the concept that they're working on.
Okay. Thank you.
The video of that drone is out there somewhere. I'm still. It was a highlight and a low light. What other questions can I answer for you? Okay, let's see, I've got one. Can someone submit an application for more than one project? So the answer, Ross, is that you can submit 27 applications if you want. With that said, I've seen very few people that are successful with that approach. And the reason is it's hard to do one thing really well, let alone, you know, more than one thing. So it's happened before. I mean, you know, it's not, there isn't existence proof for a student getting 2 projects into the finals. It's by far the exception to the rule.
I got you. One of them is a team project and the other is a personal, like just me. That's why I asked. But thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Just out of curiosity, with show of any sort of Zoom reaction, how many folks are considering applying this year? That's a decent number. That's awesome. So it either means that the Cal Poly Entrepreneurs is heavy participation this year, or it's the attendance tonight is heavily skewed by the topic. I'm not sure which one it is, but
Might be a bit of both.
okay. Kaylin, you've been in the finals twice? Is that right?
Once, with Juan actually. Yeah.
Was that your freshman year?
Yeah.
The Dead Reckoning, right? Locate, like geolocation?
No, we were doing Epion.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I saw Sean had a question. Did you have a question, Sean?
Oh yeah. Hey Tom.
Hey.
Hey, long time no. I was a part of Poly Canyon Ventures a few years ago. One of the co-founders. Anyway, I'm on Ross's team for for our application. I was just wondering about, you know, because we're going to be applying basically as a media company startup. I was wondering, you know, if the judges were partial to software startups that you know, have like ARR metrics you can look at, or like at least, you know, have that as part of their story. Because I think in terms of our media company, one of the weaknesses of content production is that it's not very, well, it is scalable, but you know, you look at companies like BuzzFeed, they've raised 5 rounds of financing. You know, they're on Series A, you know, Series Q, and you know, didn't really have. Oh, they're a successful company, but like, on the revenue front, they kind of leveled off. And I think there's other media companies that have that flaw, or have that as that's sort of a negative stereotype of media companies. So I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that, or if any.
So I think the way that I would answer that is we try to pull judges from, you know, a range of fields so that there's not like this built-in bias towards one type of business. What I will say is all of them are looking for, you know, that first question is, what's the innovation? And so, you know, they're trying to decipher, what are these people doing differently? Who are they serving uniquely such that they could actually, you know, make an impact in the world? Because, you know, 90+%, and I would maybe 95+% of the things that you go into, you're going into an existing market. I mean, there's lots of competitors, and so you've got to figure out. That doesn't mean you can't be successful. It just means you got to figure out how you carve your niche out and start growing it. And so for some of the companies or some of the, not companies, projects, people, students that compete, that innovation has to do with some, you know, point of technology that allows them, you know, potentially gives them an advantage. For some of the teams, it's a unique tweak on a business model that serves a certain customer segment better, right? And that might have some technology wrapped into it, but in many times it doesn't. And so it has to do with either kind of who you're focusing on and how you deliver deliver value to those people, or has to do with how that, you know, and if it's a service, which, you know, we have service-oriented projects every year too, sort of how that service is delivered. And what I would say is, if what you're doing is a tweak to a business model, right? So there's no kind of fundamental technology barrier. The judges tend to look for more evidence on customer traction, where if you're trying to change something with technology that you think will open up a market, the judges tend to look for where are they at with the technology development. And so those are general rules of thumb. Ideally, you have all of it, but almost nobody has all of it. And so, right, you know, I would say you want to kind of give your idea a really honest evaluation of where is the innovation, and from now until the competition, what are the things that I can do to put, you know, evidence points in the ground that show that other people besides me see and understand the value that innovation brings.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was going to say, if there aren't any other questions, we'll go ahead and transition into a social hour. But I know Tom's always available for contact.
Yeah, definitely. Feel free to reach out. Thanks for giving me the time tonight. Cal Poly Entrepreneurs team, you're the best. And I will send the slides along, and you can distribute those as you see fit.
Ali asked real quick, she said, how long is the pitch?
8 to 10 minutes, something like that. All right, well, have a great evening, everybody. Next year, hopefully we'll be back to bring in pizza in.
Awesome. Thanks, Tom.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
All right, folks. For the next 20 minutes, we're just going to be enjoying